Okay, so we're going to continue reading this scene, and now here comes Hamlet's big speech to his mother that he's had on his mind and he's held on to for so long. Um, we have these paintings of both brothers. Sometimes there are lockets that Hamlet wears. Sometimes there are lockets that Gertrude wears. Sometimes they're on the wall. There are many directorial choices, but regardless, there are two paintings, or I guess in contrast to the mirror. Um, uh, they're not real, they're counterfeits. There's some kind of figurative representation of these two brothers. Look, would you just look? His forcefulness, his anger, his rage, his aggression, violence, anger, force. He's just really bullying her. Look at these brothers. Let's compare them. Here we have one who's like a titan. Jove, Zeus, the king of the gods. Like war, Mars. So authority, ruler, power. Like the herald Mercury, new lighted on a heaven-kissing hill. Speed, information. Mercury is a really interesting one. Why Mercury shows up in this list, I don't know. Where every god did seem to set his seal to give the world assurance of a man. To give the world assurance of a man. This is a man. And Mercury is here to tell us all. This is a man. This was your husband, okay? In contrast, look at the next Joker. Here's your husband. Like a mildewed ear. That simile blasting the wholesome brother. Disease. Can't you see it? Could you, on this fair mountain, leave to feed and batten on this moor? Mountain, moor. Dead. Don't you have eyes? What? He keeps repeating this. I never noticed that. Can't you see? Can't you see this? How crap this guy is. You can't call it love. There's a very famous kind of passage where old people don't love. For at your age, blood is tame. The heyday in the blood is tame. It's humble and waits upon the judgment. And what judgment would step upon this? Old age, cold blood, waiting for death. That's what he thinks. He's like, hey, don't tell me you're in love. That's ridiculous. Sense, sure you have. Else could you not have motion? Okay, but sure, that sense is apoplexed. Your senses are destroyed clearly because you can't judge this. For madness would not err, nor sense to ecstasy was never so thralled, but it reserves some quantity of choice to serve in such a difference. You should be able to tell the difference. That you can't is deeply worrying to him. What devil was it that thus had cozened you? So here we get that fear of what devil tricked you. Eyes without feeling, feeling without sight, ears without hands or eyes, smelling sons all, or but a sickly part of one true sense could not so mope. What is wrong with you? Do none of your senses work? Does nothing work? that you can't tell how horrible this is. Oh, you should be ashamed of yourself, Mom. Why aren't you blushing? Because she isn't, you know, a woman of shame necessarily. But it upsets him. Rebellious hell, if thou canst muten in a matron's bones, to flaming youth let virtue be as wax, and melt in her own fire. If an old lady can be lustful, young should just do as they please. Forget about morality, because since an old lady, that's Gertrude, since ice burns and reason whores out will. What does that mean? Reason whores will. I guess what it means is anything can be justified. You are an old, cold woman, and you should be, but you make such a mockery that we shouldn't even make fun of young people for having bad morals. Nobody needs to have morals if you're the model. She gets upset. You need to stop speaking. You turn mine eyes into my soul. So he promised to make her look at a mirror earlier and see such black and grained spots as will not leave their tact. Now, what sins? I don't think we have enough evidence to say she's involved in the murder, but is he shaming her lust? Is that it? Her sexual desire, her remarrying? Because here we see that misogyny, that cultural expectation, all of it upon her. But she does surrender. She's so upset by this. He can't let it go. You live in the rank. This word rank just keeps coming over and over. Sweat of the enseamed bed, stewed in corruption, honeying and making love over the nasty sty. It's animal. It's disgusting bodily excess, smell, just grotesque imagery of sex. His repulsion of the physical. Oh, speak to me no more. These words are like daggers enter into mine ears. Very interesting imagery, given the way her husband is murdered, given this imagery and metaphor of language, language as weapon, which he definitely wields here. Just stop. No more. A murderer and a villain, a slave that is not 20th part the tithe of your precedent, Lord. He's nothing compared to the last one. This one's a vice of kings, a thief, a cutpurse of the empire and the rule, that from a shelf the precious diadem, he has stolen the crown and put it in his pocket. He's a pickpocket, a thief. He's a thief. And he has stolen Hamlet's crown. So it's very interesting that a lot, this Freudian reading is Claudius has done the thing that Hamlet can't do. The character-based reading of a Coleridge, early 19th century kind of romantic reading is of the character, really overthinking, philosophic, prevents him from action, calling up certain parts of the text. But a real contemporary reading is that what's animating Hamlet is his anger at losing his crown and his birthright, and that's a possible reading too. That's a really contemporaneous reading. There's a real political, there's a plain political reason for his anger, that doesn't have to be so lost in character or psychoanalysis necessarily. These are multiple opportunities, multiple ways of reading this. But here, for sure, we can start to look at this anger at losing the crown. So in the next passage, we're going to look at the entrance, the return of the ghost.